going on, everyone? We are bringing you guys another TV episode this week. TV review for Swamp Thing Season 1, Episode 1. I've been actually really looking forward to this. This is actually the reason that I actually got the DC streaming service. Everything kind of on this streaming service was kind of just an added bonus. I actually started watching Doom Patrol. Really like that. Haven't started Titans yet. But I also really... Young Justice is on there too, so I kind of had to get it for that reason. But again, Swamp Thing was the main thing that I was super excited for, being a giant horror fan and also just really appreciating him from the comics, from certain iterations of him. Again, I was really looking forward to this, and it's here. It's rated R, and I'm very, very sold on this show right now. But of course, before we get further into this TV review, understand that there will be mild spoilers throughout the whole review. So if you haven't seen Swamp Thing, just understand that I truly think it is worth checking out. And of course, also understand this, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so every single week you guys are caught up to date with Swamp Thing reviews, early movie reviews, and any other sort of geeky content on this channel. And plus, he has an also go over Sandwich on Films on how to see films early. Swamp Thing's here. It's very popular DC comic. It's one of the weirdest characters, I would go as far to say, in the DC lore. And of course, it is a total horror tone. I mean, you have Gary Dauberman and James Wan both on board to kind of produce this. And I know Gary Dauberman actually wrote this whole series, which is actually really unique to say the least. If you guys don't know who those two people are, well, Gary Dauberman, he was invested and is actually directing the new Annabelle film this year. And he actually has been a major part of the whole Conjuring, Insidious, and all those franchises out there. And plus, James Wan, I mean, the guy just did Aquaman, but again, he's known for doing the Conjuring 1, Conjuring 2, Furious 7, Dead Silence. I mean, the list goes on of how many horror films he has been involved in. I mean, them on board with the Swamp Thing to kind of produce it and shape this thing to what it should be, you definitely feel those horror tones. I think that's one of the strong things that what Swamp Thing got me hooked onto. And in general, all these DC shows kind of feel different in their own right. Doom Patrol is their like Guardians of the Galaxy, but totally rated R universe. It's wacky, it's weird, and Titans was kind of more their mainstream superhero show. But I would go as far as say Swamp Thing is a horror show. It is total horror show, at least within this first episode. It is a total freak show of horrorness and scariness at times. Not gonna say I was like terrified, but there are definitely those horror elements to it where I was just so on board and sucked in. Other of that goes to the gruesome kills, which I did not expect. I knew this was gonna be rated R, because that's how every other show really has been up here on this service so far. But I mean, it's brutal. From in the opening sequence, when people are just going on the swamp and you just see these like little tentacles come out of nowhere and just go through someone's body and just throw them in the air, and you just see blood splurt out everywhere. It was kind of like a reminiscence of the first Alien. Also seeing the destruction with the boat and everything that's happening in the swamp, and of course what happens to someone when the tentacles had gotten inside of them. You see them like their dead body afterwards. It's just totally engrossed within them. It looks like they're throwing up the tentacles, and of course they actually come back to life and start wreaking havoc for a little bit in the hospital scene, which again was a nice horror tone and actually super scary. But it was there and it was effective in that moment, and it set the tone for what the whole show is going to be. Of course, we didn't get to see much of Swamp Thing actually in this episode. I was actually surprised. I knew they had Alec Holland in this as a character, but I didn't think they were going to go with his version. I thought he was going to be like, oh, just this person, and then someone else becomes him. But they went with him, and I thought that was unique. Again, I've stayed away from a lot of the trailers and any marketing for this film. I really wanted to go into this film and the show completely surprised, and I really much was. Again, I was very much invested in this episode. But this casually was a normal pilot for a Season 1, Episode 1 type of show. It's setting up each and every character, where you're at, who you're from, and at times, I won't lie, it did feel a little bit CW-ish. Not in a bad way by any means. I actually think it's the good CW-ish feel for those superhero shows on there, but at times it did feel like, okay, we're setting up this character, okay, we got to set up this character. And of course we have Jennifer Beals, who plays Lucille Cable in here, who is one of the main characters. It's really just setting up her return to this hometown and every single relationship that she used to have in this place, and kind of furthering her out as a character. Now, that's not bad at all means, and it does delve into a slower pacing tone. I know that we have at least 12 more episodes of Swamp Thing itself, and I'm very excited for those 12 more episodes. But again, I was a little bit nervous on all those aspects because I didn't know, and it did feel that way. But again, it's only the first episode. It just feels like a basic pilot, but from the horror, from the kills, and of course from that last sequence when Alex Holland becomes Swamp Thing, when he is randomly shot and just falls into the swamp and the tentacles come over him and you see him come out of the water for a bit. he looks great. Swamp Thing, the prosthetics and everything that they have around the effects looks excellent, and I know a lot of the swamp, they actually like built the swamp to film in. It's incredible what they've done with the set design, the production design, and everything in that route. They really are going full prosthetics, and you really minorly using CGI. And when the CGI is there, it actually looks very well done. Again, this is an excellent start to the Swamp Thing series. I'm excited to see what else happens down the road in this. Again, I grew up with the DC comics, even though I'm a big Marvel fan as well. I'm appreciating both for the different spectrums, and I think DC has been killing it on these shows within the streaming service. So Swamp Thing, it's got me invested for sure. I am reserved a little bit for that kind of character development that they do have in the series. It kind of feels a little bit CW-ish, but again, I'm not going to blame it for only the first episode because this is a typical pilot setting up everything that's to come. I'm excited to see what else happens when the Swamp Thing, and I'm happy that they did go with the horror tone of this. I mean, you kind of have to when you're doing Swamp Thing, and I think Gary Dauberman and everything that the directors and the creators and the showrunners have all set up for Swamp Thing has established it as something that's to keep me on board and in mind. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. Make sure, guys, to comment down below and let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this first episode of Swamp Thing, or in general, if you guys are excited about it and all that sort of stuff. And did you actually get the streaming service? I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts, because I think the streaming service for $7.99, if you're a comic book fan, you get a ton of DC comics, and you also get a bunch of shows. And I'm saying that not as someone who is paying for the service himself and is not getting press release for them. Again, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see where Swamp Thing goes. But look out for next week, or a little bit later review. I'll probably be getting that review up by Monday, because I'll be in Florida when the episode releases for something special for Toy Story 4. So do look out for some stuff about Toy Story 4 if you guys are excited about that. But, of course, that Swamp Thing review will probably be up around Monday. But, guys, I know you guys can wait for me. Thank you guys again so much for watching this. And, of course, until next time, stay spooky and stay classy.